If there's anyone anticipating doing a leak down test on their Triumph 1050 motor, something that you might find useful to know. At the top here you have the hole in the cylinder head which takes the coil pack. At the bottom you can see the 10mm threads into which the spark plug is screwed. What's not immediately obvious is that this big hole at the top, the main well, constricts down just above the threads, and it constricts into possibly 18mm diameter, something like that. And the problem that you've got is that these leak down testers come with a variety of spark plug fittings, and the 10mm one is the one we want for the Triumph motor. The collar here is too wide to get into the restriction at the bottom of the well. Consequently, the first couple of mils of thread will engage, and then this collar here butts up against the restriction in the bottom and it won't go any further. The danger is, of course, if you tighten it further, all you'll do is rip out the top 2mm of thread in the spark plug hole. Luckily for me, I also purchased one of these El Cheapo Chinese compression testers, which also came with a variety of spark plug fittings, and you can see how the collar restricts down with the smaller thread. And luckily for me, the 10mm one does actually fit into the restriction in the bottom of the spark plug well. But be warned, don't buy one of these, or if you do buy one, make sure you get one of these as well. But essentially you can't use it because of the reason I've just said. It's also fundamentally flawed. The design of this is fundamentally flawed, and I'll explain why in the thread. It's okay for connecting up some air and listening for a hiss, but in terms of percentage leak down, forget it. You need to buy a better piece of kit, and I suspect you're probably looking at £150–200 for a decent leak down tester. These don't cut it, and again I'll explain why in the thread. This is cylinder number 1, and we can hear a nice hiss. And interestingly, these valves were... Oh, it's gurgling now as well. How weird. There's all sorts of stuff spitting out of there. So God knows what's happening here, but there must be loads of moisture on top of the piston. That's weird. Okay, that is the inlet ports. There's nothing like as much of a hiss coming out of here, but if you look carefully, you can see some bubbles. So there's definitely leakage on the inlet ports as well. I know, it's weird. The only oil I put in it was 5 mils when I wanted to check the compression. And look at that. It's spitting like a bloody frying pan. Yeah. It sounds like a frying pan. But what's the input pressure at the moment on the regulator? 25 psi. So at 25 psi. Okay. It's not making as much noise as the other one. No. But you can hear it. You can hear it leaking. The trouble is, what amount of leakage is normal? Really?
Well, as a comparator, at the moment it shows the two behaving exactly the same, in my mind. Similar readings, similar sounds, similar visuals on the bubbles.
Oh, I didn't press anything, the note just changed. Yeah. So it's basically, 30 psi test pressure, and that's cylinder 3, so it's really leaking. And interestingly enough, that's one of the ones that's got 0.34 mils clearance on the valve, so there could be something stuck underneath the valve seat.